All right, Little Rock, grab your coffee and hopefully something yummy from At the Corner. I'm Jamie Taylor. Welcome to another episode of The Block Talk, and welcome to my new friend, Helen Grace.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Jamie. It's an honor to be here right down the street from At the Corner. I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
We're thankful to have you. And down the street, we're downtown, Little Rock, my favorite place to be when I have an opportunity to be away from my kids. But anyways, when I can get away and come downtown, there's a lot of great restaurants, and you guys are a staple. You've been here for a long time. So give me a little bit information of how At the Corner started.
Yeah, well, it all started, we like to say, with Mom. She had this brilliant idea. She went to lunch at the restaurant that it used to be, and she had this brilliant idea. Anyway, she talked it over to us and made an offer that day without any restaurant experience. We had no restaurant experience. We just kind of had a gut feeling. It was like one of those. We loved the energy of the space. We had like this feeling that we're supposed to be there, and we just pursued it. And it was a long shot to make an offer on the space and think
randomly.
that we would randomly. Yeah. Oh, it was like it was a Wednesday. We all had different career paths. I had just started at the Clinton School of Public Service. So it was just like it was very, very crazy, but it became ours.
Yeah.
And then within a month it became ours. And every single hurdle that we reached along the way before we opened, that hurdle was gone by the end of the day, which is very rare for people to say, but it's just kind of like a very easy thing. And all sisters jumped on board with Mom.
How many are there?
There are three of us.
Okay.
Two, my sister and I, and then my sister-in-law, Kamaya, who's the exec chef.
Okay, so that's awesome but was there even a plan to make a restaurant ever? Everybody's just doing their own thing.
Well, Mom's always had the dream to
Okay.
own a burger joint.
Okay.
Kamaya's family has a history of restaurants and catering.
Okay.
So she's always had that passion to own
And
a
she's the
restaurant.
chef,
Yeah,
too. Okay.
to be in the restaurant industry. She never thought she would be doing it at 23. She just
amazing.
never thought she'd be exec chef and co-owner of a restaurant. Down, in the middle of
darn.
Arkansas, and
Yeah.
just from Canada. My sister has a true passion for restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
She has a God-given talent of reading, her literature or food magazines and recipes and cookbooks. That's her literature.
I love that.
So it was a very good fit for her. Me, on the other hand, I was the only one that voted no, which I don't even know if I should say that out loud.
It's pretty awesome, actually, because you're definitely growing.
No, I was the only one in the family that voted no. I mean, I just started, at grad school, and I wanted to focus on that. But instead of public service, and let me just say, I did graduate. I balanced them for the first 2 years, both like Clinton School and the restaurant. And then after I graduated, I just wanted to be a part of the family business and just kind of give it my all and just invest in it 125%. And I did. And instead of public service, I am in customer service. But to me, customer service is public service.
Mm-hmm.
Restaurants are such a beautiful thing and beautiful dialogue with restaurants between customers and owners and my teammates that just kind of we're all in this, in the world together, we're dining together, and there's nothing more beautiful than food and sharing food together. And to me, that's a public service. It makes the world a better place, right?
It does. That literally was about to come out of my mouth, is it makes the world a better place. And one of the things we focused on recently with the whole arrival of this healthcare pandemic and all of the things that are going on here with COVID. Before that, the whole idea of the restaurant is really this place where people come together to share a meal and talk about what happened in their day or what they're doing with their business. Business meetings, that's all I did. I went from local restaurant to local coffee shop to local restaurant over and over and over again, and that just all completely changed. But like you said, it makes the world a better place when people get together and they share their ideas over a meal and just have a conversation.
Yeah, well, it's what made humans humankind. The first time that people of different worlds came together was by sharing food, sharing and gathering and then sitting down. People worked all day, they hunted, they gathered, and then they came together to share a meal. And then culture started doing that across cultures. Mm-hmm. And so there's just the beginning of community that happens every single time you're at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It dates back.
Well, and the great part about another thing you just mentioned, and we have such a melting pot down here of restaurants. We have a massively, just diverse culture, especially even just in the River Market and right here, just walking from at the corner down the street. You have all these people that you're teammates with in this area that have developed an awesome place to come and eat and snack and try a million different things.
Yeah, no, we're downtown Little Rock attracts people from all around the world. There's several hotels that people get to stay in, and then they get to go and venture and support local, whether it's restaurants, whether it's clothes and boutiques or jewelry making or anything like that.
There's Discoveries
yeah,
down there.
fun stuff. Yeah,
You can have your psychic reading behind us.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. You can walk around the river. We're the city of Six Bridges, so
Yeah.
being able to see that, have brunch at the corner and walk downtown. We always send people to the river because it's just such a beautiful part of Little Rock that's in the middle of a city, you know?
And the location that you have right there, to be able to just pop over is, it's just like that. And you did say the word brunch. So,
Yes.
whoa, you guys have a killer brunch.
Thank you so much. We pride ourselves in our brunch. When we first opened, we thought we were going to do lunch and then dinner.
Yeah.
Breakfast was not part of the game plan. And then a couple weeks before we opened, we decided, no, we're doing breakfast. We changed our game plan, changed everything.
I'm
we're
so glad you did that.
I feel like we need to do, we were like, we feel like we need to do breakfast.
Yeah.
And then we actually started doing brunch at the beginning, and Little Rock wasn't ready for it. They literally saw our menu and walked out.
That is
And that
crazy
happened for
to
months
me.
and months and months and months and months. And finally, we got a following who then trusted what was on our menu and wanted to try it. But at the beginning, people were not up for brunch. They were not up for what we were offering. They wanted a little bit more of a simpler, menu.
Right.
And so people walked out and like, oh my God. But finally we got that following. We have a strong social media presence, and people started trusting us. We had to build that trust because we do some very unique things especially on the weekends. And I'm just
Give me just an example for listeners who have never tuned in or
my
maybe
God.
haven't eaten at the corner.
Yeah, so we've done squid ink grits and fried chicken.
I love it.
I just wasn't too familiar with squid ink and all the things you could do it, but we made grits with it. And
Yeah.
I just think that was that's the first random thing that comes to my mind. And there are thousands
Of crazy things.
of crazy things. Yes, we create a new menu every single weekend.
Does your sister-in-law cook like that at home too? Is she does she go home and the other night I made something out of hearts of palm, which I didn't know was a food thing.
Good.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
People don't
amazing.
know. So does she just find an ingredient, go for it, or is she just
So fun story. We actually all lived together before the restaurant. Yes, I know. It's funny, I've never really talked about this. But yeah, so all three of us, all the sisters and my brother, we all lived together in the small, tiny little house. And Kamaya, who is Canadian, and she's a lot more quiet than my sister and I, because we're lovers, we wear our hearts on our sleeves. You know exactly what you're thinking. Kamaya's love language is different.
Right.
And so it was that we had to overcome that barrier at the beginning of the friendship and sisterhood. And, because she was falling in love with my brother was falling in love with her.
Kind of like her love language was food. I'd be like, join the family.
No, and it was. And
Yeah.
so she started cooking for us. And every time she started cooking, this whole personality came out that we hadn't seen.
Yeah.
This love, this
Her passion.
comfort, even her face color, the blush, the blood flow that would come to her face was different. Everything about it was different. So she started opening up, and then we started cooking together and eating together. And this was actually, I think maybe a year before the restaurant happened. And so we were already in that kitchen and, creating that dynamic that we have between all of us, which was really very fun.
I love that. That's such a cool story because then your mom just walks in. She's like, here's the deal. I've got these great daughters and this great son. I'm just going to buy this restaurant, and then they can go ahead and fulfill their dreams of business ownership, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just now all of a sudden we are dreaming of being business owners. How do you transition with a life plan like that? Because you went to grad school. Someone like me, I fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah.
It sounded like you had a plan.
I had a plan. And I don't think any of us were ready to be bosses.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't ready because I wanted to keep learning from other bosses.
Right.
I wanted to build that portfolio of all that experience from working with amazing leaders and people out there that have been in the business or been in businesses for a while. And that opportunity.
Their mistakes don't hurt as bad as your own.
No, and I wanted to learn. I just still wanted to learn. But that wasn't an option.
Right.
So we had to learn fast. We had to learn fast about who we are as leaders, as bosses, as women in the industry, as, people dealing with customers that are hungry. We had to learn that very fast, and we did. I mean, our motto was fail and fail fast. And we did, and we failed, and we failed, and we failed, and we got better every time, and, learned and pivoted and tried something new. And we have an amazing team. And so the team keeps us on our toes and makes us want to be even better bosses. And we learn from them about, what to do and what not to do.
What works and what doesn't.
Yes.
Well, and that's one thing you kind of just pivoted to the next point that I was going to bring up, which is that pivot. You have to have that happen when something like COVID comes around. It has completely shifted the landscape of your industry. Everyone's lives has been touched by it. We've talked about it with multiple restaurant owners, and everyone kind of has a different feel, a different perspective, how they're dealing with it. But at the end of the day, the restaurant industry is completely affected, and it's undeniable. So tell us a little bit about your experience with that and how you pivoted, how you've implemented, and what you're going to do from here.
Yeah. So we never closed. We never took a day off to figure out what to do. We had that last weekend brunch. First case of Arkansas hit, I want to say, on that Monday or something. And we knew we were going to close. We knew we were going to have to close. So we had a very, very long meeting about what curbside is and taking, to-goes and everything. Because we'd worked really, really hard to hit 5 years. It was our 5th year birthday weekend, and which is huge. In a restaurant industry, that's like key. That means you made it, right?
Yeah, same in real estate.
Yeah. So our birthday weekend was supposed to be that weekend before. Canceled it, of course, because it just stuff was changing in the world. Like, it's not a time to celebrate. It's a time to kind of focus and figure out what's going on. It was like St.
Patrick's Day weekend or close, because we were planning to come and have the show out live.
Yeah.
And so we had got it all set up for you guys. We're doing your birthday. Everyone's doing St. Patrick's Day. We're ready. And then it was like, boom, canceled.
Yeah. And so on Monday, we sat down, had a long meeting, and figured out what to go and what curbside is, because that was given the option, thank goodness. And we weren't forced to close. Like, restaurants weren't forced to close then. We were just one of the first that just made that decision. We started family meals at the beginning. And did that for several, because I knew my our sales were going to be cut by a lot. So I knew I had to lengthen my hours of operation and provide more, sales opportunities for our customers. Yeah, more options. Yeah. And family meals. So we started that. We started curbside. And again, we didn't know what that meant. So the first couple of weeks was still figuring it out and figuring out how to tell guests to pull up, put your flashers on, we'll come out to you instead of them calling when they get here.
Well, and people that live downtown and work downtown know it's kind of a difficult, unless you know it down here, you don't know what's a one-way or not a one-way. Like, there's some complications.
But was really halting is that traffic really slowed.
Right.
So it wasn't trafficy downtown. So curbside was really easy and fine. And our kitchen pivoted. We redesigned the entire kitchen because we had to get rid of all of our ceramic plates, right? You don't need any of that material that you're sitting on because you can't serve guests inside your restaurant.
Right. So you just have to
everything became to go. And then of course we started ordering to goes and making certain we had enough. And then all of the paper companies, everyone sold out. So it was just like that touch and go for a while about what products we have available and what we can do. And we had to pivot fast, like what kind of products we were using, what are those to-goes, making the eco-friendly cloth, because we're known for eco-friendly and recycling products, but they're more expensive, right? Mm-hmm. So we made the decision just to keep it going, to keep being eco-friendly as opposed to cutting back or doing something like Styrofoam, which is like 5 cents as opposed to 35 cents. There's a lot, that we could have cut the cost because we were worried about.
So your choices were just intentional as opposed to emergency without thought.
Yes, right? And we still keep that to this day, which we're very, very proud of, as opposed to switching to some other products that could have been cheaper. But we pivoted very fast. Curbside kicked off. Little Rock really showed up and came out and supported us, and they're still doing that. I think the first couple of weeks in the pandemic, fun fact about restaurant industry is that people behind the scenes really can easily get burned out. We're feelers, we're passionate people. Besides, it's one of the hardest industries for a reason, right? They say that over and over again. It's a hard industry. And so you just kind of get to the point where you ask yourself, what are you doing? Are you happy? What are you doing? Are you still loving it? It's natural to question. I think people do that with all fields.
Yeah.
And then the first couple of weeks of the pandemics, and of course we're frightened. like to death. Like I even lost my eyesight, which is a side note. But like I was having such bad anxiety, I kept having like spurts of blindness.
Blackout,
Yeah. But Little Rock really kind of made me fall in love with my restaurant all over again, because of how much love we
They
were.
came out
Yeah, like especially like, you know, at the beginning. I don't know. I just didn't realize that. Like people were calling, they were leaving 100% gratuity. They were making donations of like, you know, $100. Like they were fighting to keep this little small restaurant alive and
Buying
keeping
gift
my, you know,
cards
all
and
of my,
picking up, yep.
yeah, and all of my employees like employed. Like it was just really, really crazy to see how well and how much the community showed love, and it just kind of made me re-fall in love with this industry. And so that was at the beginning, and Little Rock still has continued to, I would say, you know, continued to show their support even in different ways, because now we're open for outdoor dining. But, you know, this pandemic's been going on for 6 months. So
Yeah.
the first, like, I would say 2 months, you know, was figuring out what was going on. The community, you know, making certain that we survive. And then we needed to do more for the community, to give love back. So we actually started what we call the Cinnamon Roll It Forward campaign. So,
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
So we started cinnamon rolling it forward to hospital workers.
Yeah, nurses
and
and
yeah,
doctors
yeah,
and-
nurses
yeah.
and everything. And cinnamon roll and cinnamon rolling it forward has kind of always been a part of it. Like we used to have like a lot of nurses and doctors that would come in like right after their night shift, and then we would just start sending it. We would always send out cinnamon rolls. Like it's been part of our thing
For a while,
yeah, but we
yeah.
just kind of actually made it a campaign, and yeah. So how it works is that people can actually purchase cinnamon rolls, and then we send it to healthcare workers. So during this time when we're like struggling and trying to figure out, you know, exactly still what this pandemic means, my kitchen got a dual purpose, you know, like
Yep.
we got to serve the community and connect with the community, which is extremely important to us, especially as restaurant personalities. We are positive reinforcement folks. So having people drive up, pick up their food, and then drive off was something that we have literally been working on and, you know, powering through and trying to provide this delicious meal. They just drove off.
Right.
You know, so we didn't get that positive
get to see
reinforce.
them,
I don't
right.
get to see that first bite that, you know, or thank you so much. This is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I've missed this, or like, I need this. Thank you
Just
so much.
the note on the receipt or the
Yeah. You just don't get that. And so the cinnamon roll it forward was kind of a little bit of a selfish moment too, because it just made me feel connected and appreciated as someone in the restaurant industry. And, you know,
to watch your business be supported while other people are supporting other people, and it's just
Yeah.
like you've created this opportunity for other people to take care of their community, and that's
Yeah.
just such a cool thing. And that's exactly why it's just really cool to meet you and have you on the show, because the value that you add to our downtown area and the ability for you to bring something here, a place for people to connect and eat and hang out, but then also in the midst of all this shifting, you're still thinking about other people, and that's
Yeah.
just a really
absolutely.
Good thing.
And then the Cinnamon Roll It Forward campaign has gone beyond healthcare workers. Like, you know, the first week of school,
Yep,
we actually did it to
teachers.
teachers. We've done it to nursing homes. We've done it to customers. During all of the protesting here in Little Rock, I couldn't go. I'm quarantining, so I didn't go. So we actually sent cinnamon rolls to the protests so that it would help, you know, give them a little snack during everything that was going on in our community and our world, just to say that, you know, we support you, we love you, we're here.
Well, you've done a lot of good right downtown here, because so many, not just tourists, but local people come in and eat at your restaurant, like you were alluding to. One of the things you mentioned too is family packs. A lot of those people are coming and grabbing food, bringing it home to their family. How did you? I mean, do you have like, is it just thinking about your guys' family and how many people are in it, and okay, let's go ahead and just make a meal pack and send it out? Was it pure based on pivot? I mean, how did you craft the idea behind these meals, and then how is that still going? Is it something you'll keep doing in the future?
Yeah, well, we knew that grocery runs are going to be shortened and limited, and people weren't going to get out. We also knew that we like being a part of people's lives, and our food, you know, even on our breakfast and lunch menu, a lot of it is dinner, or can be dinner oriented.
Right.
But we also created special menus just for dinner. And I think it was just a way to stay a part of people's lives, you know,
Yeah.
because our
Stay connected.
stay connected, because our dining room has closed, you know,
Right.
so we don't get to see those people come in to our home. So instead, we've tried to find a way to stay in theirs.
Yeah, it's so good too because I feel like kids have been cooking a lot more with their families with this family pack idea. I saw a lot of people go like, "Oh, I picked up a meal and I'm going to try it with my kids and family." And I think it's kind of, the silver lining at least has kind of forced us into the kitchen together a little bit. And it's nice when you also don't have the cleanup because you've picked it up.
Oh, it's so nice.
Oh, it's so nice. For me, I've just been like telling my husband like, "This is the community support." And he's like, "Jamie, it's been 6 months. You have to cook dinner." I'm like, "No, I'll just keep ordering." I was like,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, it's community support at the end of the day, so I'm just going to keep
is.
banking on that.
I
And,
can, I wholeheartedly support
grocery
that.
stores can go without my business for a little bit. So anyways, that being said, as far as an entrepreneur, you might have been an unexpected entrepreneur, you and your sisters, and now you're in this place where the pandemic is going to keep going on. It's been going on for a while, but it's continuing, and we don't really have an answer for what the end of that looks like or what this is going to do, to businesses and to our city in the long term. And so that being said, like, do you have a view of the future as an entrepreneur? Have you just accepted the fact that you're just going to be out here trying to survive forever? Or what's your view and outlook as far as, moving forward goes?
I think as an entrepreneur, I don't know if we ever accept anything. I think we're always striving to make things better and stronger. So even with our current system, I change it up almost daily sometimes just because I'm trying to make it stronger, faster, and everything.
Keep on failing fast and move forward. Yeah,
exactly. So I haven't accepted it. I still don't know. What I have accepted is I've accepted the unknown.
Right.
I do not know when this will be over. I still don't know exactly if we even know what all this virus can entail. Like, I'm pre-med. I've studied biochem and I've studied viruses, and anyway, that's a completely different subject about the virus.
No,
but
I know. My mind is racing
so
all the time. Right.
Exactly. My mind, has accepted that I don't know a lot of things. I just need to be ready for what comes. Like, I think at the beginning, we thought that we might have another closure. Like, I think that, we're at phase 2. I think that for a while we thought we were going to be at phase 1, to go back. And now I don't know. Now I think phase 3 is coming, but who knows?
Right.
I just think we have to be ready. I think we have to do our part and have due diligence about keeping a safe and clean environment. I know there's a lot of people are anti-mask wearing, but mask wearing to us and our team, doesn't do anything, negative for anyone. So I know that there's with customers, just from a customer standpoint, I have a lot of people that don't like wearing masks and refuse to wear masks. And unfortunately, we can't serve them. That's just not the rule. That's not our rule. And so that's been really, really tough. But I think, no matter what happens, I think we're just going to be ready and being ready to pivot. And guess what? I don't even know what that pivot means.
Yeah. And that's what I kind of love, though, about it, because, the big thing, and this is what I've found has been the common thread between every restaurant owner I've talked to at the post-COVID, as far as like now we're in it. Now that I've experienced that first little bit, let me explain that, this is where I was weak and now I'm stronger. This is what I've learned and this is what I've lost and this is what I've gained. And I think that common thread comes down to being entrepreneurs and accepting that this adventure of business ownership comes with a lot of ups and downs. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about a worldwide pandemic. If the pandemic wasn't here, it would be something else. And that's the whole thing, is there's always an emergency in this line in entrepreneurship, but this emergency is a little bit bigger because everyone has the emergency at the same time, and we all have to figure out how to pivot in our different and respective industries. Some industries are not suffering, some are growing, some have, think about what you mentioned when you said paper products. My mind went to so many different directions of how many companies grew in this situation. And then I really started thinking about, the restaurant experience. There's some restaurants, not to be named because they're not locally owned, but like franchise style restaurants that'll do the touchy-feely at your table that you can order your food through.
Yep.
And I just have this horrible fear of self-checkout style restaurants, and I'm just not interested. So I'm like, we have to reopen because I just can't
Yeah, because people that go into the restaurant industry, they don't go into the restaurant industry for that.
No, they
go
want to
in
see
for
people
the service and the people and the connection that you get only through food.
Some of the best people I know I've met because either I served them or they served me. We talked earlier about another entrepreneur, and I talked about how everybody should work a job waiting tables.
Absolutely.
And just the connection you get with your customer and the ability to serve another person. It's just an invaluable experience that you can't replace.
Yeah, and it's very humbling. It's a humbling experience, but it gives you that perspective angle and this perspective learning that you wouldn't have gotten by just only being a customer. And I think that's very important for brain development.
Yeah. Well, and just to see, someone else's perspective. It's just one of those things that, I think sometimes we only operate within our own perspective, and we forget that there's people out here struggling and going through this in a totally different direction. And it's interesting because in all reality, I've talked to 3 different restaurant owners today with 3 completely different perspectives, 3 different protocols, 3 different survival methods. And the great part about it is they're all strong, amazing entrepreneurial people who are going to keep fighting through this and are going to keep their businesses open. They're going to stay part of this community. And that's touching to me because I get to be part of Little Rock, where restaurant owners support each other, where they might differ, but they're going to get through it either way, right? And I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and then, a lot of people think that restaurants compete with restaurants.
It's co-opetition.
Yeah, well, I've never really understood that philosophy. Like, I think that restaurants, it's even hard enough to make an industry.
Right.
I think supporting restaurants, all restaurants, is a big deal and should be a deal. And also, I think if you're worrying about another restaurant, you should just be focusing the energy on yourself.
Right.
Like we have like a strong motto at our restaurant. Like, we don't ever talk ill about another restaurant, or we don't really talk about other restaurants, because that's diverting attention
from what
us.
you're working on, right?
Yeah,
They
and
always
our
say-
restaurant's enough.
Yeah.
I
Like,
can't
we have
worry about
enough to panic about.
Yeah, I can't worry about anyone else's.
One
Like,
restaurant is enough? I never do this.
do what?
The one restaurant's enough? Sorry, we haven't hit on this yet.
Oh, yeah. So we just got an interruption from our executive producer about a major announcement.
Oh.
So we're going to let it slide because you do have exciting news coming up, right? I
Yeah.
mean, here's the deal. In the middle of a global pandemic, I know what we'll do. We'll double size.
Okay.
So tell me about your upcoming plans.
Yeah, so we have a new restaurant in the works. Her name is Henrietta's.
I love it.
Yes, and she's very health-oriented, beautiful cuisine.
I love how you talk about her like she's a...
She's very femme.
I love
It's very, we're females.
Mm-hmm.
We love women. Like, we think that I think women are just extremely beautiful and talented, and so passion oriented, and they just a lot of us think with our hearts and feel with our hearts and talk and walk with our hearts, and that's what we want Henrietta's to be, just very detail oriented, passion oriented, and plates that just kind of inspire that and inspire passion. We have not solidified the menu. We keep changing. So the day we nailed her sign to the wall was the day COVID hit. Yes. So we paused that, put her on hold because we had to worry about our other restaurant at
Right.
the corner. And so we've just now started back construction and menu planning and everything. But we had partnerships with local farmers who were growing our produce for Henrietta's for
Yeah.
for summer. And so, of course, we got to use that at the corner and make some beautiful items with it. But so we paused that, but now it's on go, and it's on go pretty fast. Granted, how do you open a restaurant in the middle of a pandemic?
You'll show us how.
Yeah. I think we're still questioning that, but we're looking at it from several different angles.
Right.
Whether that's opening up small at first and then bigger, and like bigger menu items, we don't know. We do have lovely garage doors that we're very excited about, so that kind of gives that outside dining experience. It's a small space, so having tables 6 feet apart is an angle that we're trying to figure out how to best do that. Our seating and our arrangement and the floor, and we've had some custom banquettes built and some beautiful things that were not meant for a pandemic.
Right.
They weren't meant for that. And so it's just kind of one of those things, like what do we do and when do we do it? And right now, I just think that we're still taking it day by day.
Right.
She has an Instagram. I know you're right. I do talk about like she.
No, I just love it because I was thinking about now I wish there's a lot of restaurants that have some personality, and now I feel like I can do that now.
And we named her, Henrietta's. Henrietta is a family name after our great aunt. She was a very strong woman, traveled the world with the American Red Cross. But Henrietta's also means a beautifully wild woman that can't be tamed. So,
Well,
side note.
welcome to Henrietta's podcast.
Henrietta's. I know, yeah. And so it's really great because mine is my sister-in-law. She and I are both single. And, I don't know. It's just we're very like us-oriented and female-oriented. And I think you'll be able to see that in the menu and the design, especially the ambiance that we've created.
Yeah, I
Like
have to
just
be
the
careful
environment.
because our editor is a male, so he may edit this out. But it's one of those things where I always say that God had created like man, and then he was like, "Well, I could do better," so then he created women. Yeah. Anyway, hope that makes it through. But that being said, I can't believe this is going to be so exciting to see, and it sounds like a fun experience. And I think dining has become something that is going to be more of an experience now because
Yes.
we kind of took it for granted before. And I feel like now people will go out with this expectation and just kind of this pent-up desire for an experience. And so when we get there, I think it's going to be so fun to go to the places that really put that extra detail and love and time into their craft.
I know, and we're definitely. I completely agree with you, and we feel that way too. We think that people have missed it so long; they didn't know how much they knew how much they loved it. Like it's because it's part of our identity as a civilization.
And
Like
you
restaurants,
experience
eating at
other
restaurants. Yeah.
Well, in other cultures, like when you said that, I experience other cultures when I try the food that is relative to their culture, like things that other cultures create that we have turned around and infused into our own culture. Food is a thing that connects people from all over the world. It's crazy.
It's amazing. And then a lot of this cuisine, it's inspired by plants. So it's a plant-forward plates.
I've been plant-based for like 6 weeks, and it's been a whole adventure.
Yeah, isn't it fun? It's sometimes it's a lot easier to do than I would say. But I mean, I eat meat, so
Well, and that's the thing. We're kind of transitioning, but what I will say about it is we haven't identified ourselves as any sort of like we're vegan now.
Yeah.
But what I will say is we have transitioned to a lot of plant-based cooking and vegetables. Like you said, there is an easy element to it because you can just go buy a whole bunch of vegetables and then you're like, what's for dinner? Whatever I put on the grill, whatever I put, it's just real easy. Just throw the vegetables together. Of course, I don't cook cuisine like an executive chef would. So for me, it's just, grilled vegetables. But it sounds like it's going to be quite an experience.
It is. We're so excited. Kamaya, we truly believe she'll shine in this menu.
She's a beautiful name.
Yes, yeah. And she's, this is right up her alley. We have a really nice kitchen. So at the Corner's kitchen is a shoebox. It's tiny. You'd be surprised. I mean, it's a miracle how much food we can push out in one day. It's a miracle. But Henrietta's is really nice and well thought out, and we got to design it.
I love
which is
that.
so
Where's
fun.
it located?
It's on 3rd Street. Over there near Dugan's and Lucky Lou's. It's where Andina's coffee shop used to be.
Okay. Yep. I know exactly where
I
that's
think
at.
there might be like
and you've
a-
got some great neighbors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do. And that little street is so nice and has that personality of its own that we're really excited to connect with. But yeah, we don't, she has an Instagram, Facebook. I recommend following that or following At the Corner because we sometimes double post. And then we'll be announcing. I have a couple of posts planned for the next couple of weeks just to kind of get people excited and a little bit more interior in the kitchen and stuff like that. And then hopefully we'll be hiring.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hire. I love building teams.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most fun part of entrepreneurship is building something and then passing down a skill or being able to teach someone else how to do something the way you do it or give them an opportunity to expand themselves into doing something that you do in their own way.
Oh, yeah, totally. We're very forward into like growing people and making them, to be honest, better humans in this world. It's like a huge thing. Like I actually hire a lot of Clinton School students because I like people who care about people. That's the one thing. That's like my criteria.
Yeah.
And so I love putting these kind of people together and watching how the personalities mesh or clash or how they can, no matter what, figure out how to communicate best with each other and how do I help that or help as a boss to get that dialogue down.
Well, you have the boss roll down, and everything has been, as far as my experience, at the corner, excellent. And I really
you.
appreciate everything that you bring to our
Thank
downtown
you.
area. I do have to ask really quickly, though, because your brother's married to this amazing executive chef, and he's got 2 sisters and a mother who have now ingrained her in their business. And now you have this like super pack of powerful, beautiful females running these 2 restaurants. Does he just sit around and eat all day and clap, or like what is his like? I mean, does he get to have any input in like the restaurant, or is he kind of this guy's going to be like, why is she asking this?
He finds his way to have input. Sometimes it's not wanted. But he's my brother, so I can say that, right?
You're like, you're the taste tester.
Yeah. Or he'll give us feedback, and like especially like I do all the marketing and social media posts. And like one day I posted this crepe. It was all I had to work with, and my brother's like, "This is the ugliest photo I've ever seen." Anyway, I screenshotted his comment. He sent the photo and then screenshotted it and then posted it on social media on At the Corner. And like people were like, "Ha ha ha! This is hilarious." I'm like, "That's what he gets for not being nice." I was like, "Thanks for supporting us during a pandemic," or something like really like something really mean. But he was just joking to a degree.
Yeah.
And I was not
That is
joking
so
with him.
funny. I love that.
But at the beginning, he actually was our dishwasher.
That is hilarious.
Yes. And then
He's been promoted to taste tester.
Yes, yeah. Well, there was a lot of passion and drama at the beginning. You know, it's high stress. Like restaurants are high stress, especially when you put three sisters and a mom in it.
Let me think. Let me mix family, entrepreneurship, restaurant ownership, and a pandemic. Where were the cameras at the beginning of this?
They would have seen a lot of crying and laughing and yelling, especially yelling. Where were the cameras? Because people were like, our teammates are like, y'all need a reality show, and we're like, I don't know about that. I feel like people do not need to see this sometimes. Like, especially Mother's Day. Mother's Day was one of our biggest days ever, and it was all curbside. So we had blocks and blocks and blocks of cars. And the thing with curbside is people think that the food is faster, but it's the same food.
Yeah.
It's actually
Takes the
longer.
same amount
Yeah,
to
it
cook,
actually
but now
takes
I've gotta
longer
package
because it's in
it
a to-go box and every to-go sack and to-go utensils and to-go butter and jams and all this stuff. And people forget that. And so they see these lines of cars, and they think their order's going to be just as fast or faster. It's going to be longer. And so Mother's Day was one of those days that you really should have had a camera on, because it was a sight to behold.
Yeah, hey, Mama said there'd be days like that.
No. Mama didn't know about this. She did not foresee any of this.
Your mom was like, I wish I wouldn't have made that offer last Wednesday.
Well, it's funny, at the beginning she thought she would be writing every single order down by hand and then walking it to Maya to cook. And then like using an old school cash register. Like that was her vision.
It's so
and
cute,
so I'm
though.
ever in a bad mood, I just see her writing the order down and then like hobbling to
Walking
the
it over
kitchen.
to give it to her. That's so funny.
It's terrible. It would not have worked.
No.
But it still makes me laugh.
Yeah, but it'll bring you some sunshine on a dark day, and you certainly do that for a lot of people in our community. Thank you for being where you are at the corner over there, brightening everyone's day.
Thank you. We definitely try, and a lot of times it's so funny. Like we have our really, really hard days and some bad days, and sometimes the business gets under our skin, and we feel like we're failing. And it's usually on those days that the people that we need in our lives show up, and they like totally cast out the darkness and like surround us with so much light. They say exactly what we need to hear. They like comfort us, and like exactly, it's like the weirdest thing. Like just, it happens on that day that when we need it the most, that customers like come through and shine. Like even like today, like I have this, we've had like a lot of homeless people, during this pandemic more than ever. And we've just kind of taken a couple of them under our wings and like give food. I don't give money, but I give food. And then today I gave this one guy, he always like has his mask on, I'm like, mask up. And he's like, do you think you could help me out with some food? And I was like, yeah. And so I got him some food and a soda pop. And next thing you know, a customer saw it and decided to tip 100% on their tab. So they gave us a $50 tip just because of that generosity.
Right.
And it was funny. They told me the story because I went to thank them, of course, and tears were rolling. But they actually were talking about how on their drive over, how kindness is contagious and that you really need to put out the energy in this world that you want to receive. Mm-hmm. And so they saw that, and like my good deed inspired them to do a good deed.
Yep.
And it was just kind of one of those like really good human moments. Like you're like, dang.
Yep. And that's the thing. It should really catch faster than the other stuff. And so the more we put out, the better that it will turn out down here.
We used to do pep talks with our team before like a shift. I don't do as many pep talks now because it's just a little too hectic. But I used to do pep talks, and it was always, put out the energy in the world that you want to receive. So like with customers, like if they're not on your level of kindness, get them on your level, inspire them to do better and to be better and to remind them that we are humans, and just inspire that through your actions and words and, steps. Yeah, that's our pep talk in the morning.
I love it. Well, we're going to keep that pep talk, and now we've got it recorded so we can replay it. Yeah. And I want to encourage all of our listeners, if you haven't been to At the Corner, to go have a meal, pick up a meal. They've got outside dining right now. You can also do the curbside pickup. Follow them on social media, reach out, buy a gift card for someone you care about, do a good deed, and support a local amazing restaurant that we all know and love.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. This is a really big opportunity for restaurants, to share our voice, especially because we haven't talked in a while, So
well, the thing is, I want to hear too, nobody knows your story as far as people that come there know it, but the people that don't need to know, this is different for you. You're in a different situation than you've ever been. This is not an easy situation.
No, it's
to
not,
go
and
through
it's
as a
our
restaurant.
whole family's restaurant. We're supporting everyone.
Her livelihood, your
yes,
livelihood,
our
the
livelihood,
sister, the brother. Yeah,
it's
and
our
that's a
livelihood,
big deal.
and we have teammates that have been with us since the beginning. You know, like they're our family. So our first goal was not to let anyone go, and we haven't had to let any employees go. Like that was
such
our
good
goal, and so like we were able to keep everyone on payroll and pay people, and if they didn't get the hours, they got food.
Yeah.
So we worked that out.
Well, good job and
you.
congratulations and keep pushing and we're going to get through this on the other side and we will see you then. So thank you for coming on the show and we'll definitely check in after Henrietta's open
Yes,
and
please
see
have
what you're
me.
serving up.
Yeah, tell you all about Henrietta's and her food.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Little Rock, we're out.